When I talk, they listen. This is what they've been missing. This podcast is what they've been missing. When I talk, they listen. This is what they've been missing. This podcast is what they've been missing. When I talk, they listen. This is what they've been missing. This podcast, this is what they've been missing. When I talk, they listen. This is what they've been missing. This podcast is what they've been missing. Word.
Welcome to Mark My Words, where I'm your host, L. Mark Williams, where I do the listening, the guests do the talking, while you do the eavesdropping. Today's guest is by the name of Chaz Bruce. Chaz Bruce is a well-known content creator, particularly famous on TikTok. He has gained a large following for his music videos, dance challenges, and comedic skits. As of now, he has 6.3 million followers on TikTok. Chaz is also a musician, a dancer from Rochester, New York, and he used to be a teacher in the city school district. His content often includes lip sync videos, pranks, and other entertaining challenges that engage his audience. Do you follow him on TikTok? If not, today's your day to do so. Welcome, my guest, Mr. Chaz Bruce. Welcome.
Thank you. I wanted to make my own.
Your own intro.
Sound, yeah. No, not my own intro. That was a good intro. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So when you hear that, what do you feel?
The intro?
Yeah.
I feel what I feel like there's so much more to be added.
Okay.
You know, when people look at my content, right? It's a lot. So I produce so much content that people will see one that's viral and try and put that in the box of like what I do. But the type of content I do is so diverse. Okay. So, you know, I rarely do lip sync.
Okay.
I do a lot of just like, I do some traveling stuff. I do a lot of content with my family and friends, anybody around me actually. Okay. I think one of the biggest things that I love to do is collaboration.
All right.
And so you'll see a lot of me and other people in my content, whether we'll dance and do some challenges, or whether I'm, you know, doing some just like a skit, or just capturing moments of what's happening, where I'm going different places and experiencing different things.
Okay. So we're gonna go back. I want you to take us back so we can get some sort of idea of where this is birthed from. So take us back to your childhood, to your family. And talk about that. Where were you born? What side of town? How many family household members?
Right. I was born on the west side.
West side.
Born and raised on the playground is where I spent most of my days. No, I was born on Rochester, New York, on the west side, over by I think my family was living Rugby. Rugby is where we started, and man, I don't really remember Rugby like that. You know, my parents speak of it. My family is huge.
Okay.
It's my mom and dad. They're still married to this day. Okay. 6 of us in the house. 5 sisters in the house. I'm the only boy. Okay. And so from that, it was just like, you know, there's so many things I, you know, was placed in. I was very high energy. Okay. So that's from day one. So
you still have that.
Yeah. So what they would try to do is, you know, after school, get me in so many different things, so that I'd be tired by the time I get home, and it never worked. Okay. I was always just, you know, just wild and fun. But I grew up in a loving family, a lot of fun, and a lot of entertainment too. Like, we had to entertain ourselves. So I was usually the one, you know, coming up with dances and songs. And my sisters, we started a dance group. And when I was in kindergarten, it actually really started in kindergarten, really.
Wow.
I was in kindergarten, and my kindergarten teacher was my father's kindergarten teacher. Her name was Mrs. Dodge. At number 4 school. And the very first day I walked in, she knew right from the jump, boy, you're something else, you're special, like you're going to be a star. And I remember her saying that, like, and ever since, from day one, she started to like understand who I was. And I really wanted to touch that piano that was there. And she was like, no. But eventually she let me, you know, learn how to do piano. And then she would do things like, she signed me up for dance classes, tap, jazz, and ballet. And she would take me to those lessons every day after school.
Okay.
And it was super dope. At first, I was just like, "What is this?" But then, like, I started to really love dance, and it was so dope that I started with tap dance and jazz, and they used to call me Little Sammy Davis Jr.
Okay.
And which led me to Mr. Perkins, which the Black Seeds. She took me to Mr. Perkins, and I was the youngest student in that group, and we would travel around, the United States performing poems and dance and making up different just routines and whatnot. And even in class, like Mr. Perkins would pull me out of my kindergarten class while the third grade students were taking a nap, and he would bring me up and have me teach them the tap dance and jazz moves I learned the day before in class. So it was always like I was always treated like, a special student. Like, hey, you have to be a star. You have too much talent. We know your dad. We know your family. So there's no slipping there. And I think that was the base of just about everything that I do. So it was a collaboration of great parenting, great family, and great teachers who fostered like all the talent in me.
Now you said five women, 5 sisters
in the household. There's 3 more, but 5 sisters, yeah.
And 1 mother, which makes 6 women.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so growing up in a house full of women, do you feel you took on any type of like femininity?
I mean, it depends on what you label as femininity, right? I was always expressive and open to whatever. There was never any like, don't do that, or you know what I mean, that's gay. It was never any of that. But there was always like examples of what a man is and what females do and what boys don't do. I can, but there was never any, you can't do that. It's just, I saw it and figured out myself. I wouldn't, so people would say so. I mean, because I was always expressive and dance and ballet and jazz and never cared what nobody thought. So I guess from I would say a simple-minded narrative, you would say he has some feminine traits because he sings all the time or likes to dance, jazz and ballet and tap. And there was always kind of that battle, but like it was, I was always a boy. Like I was.
So when you say there was always kind of that battle, where?
So the battle was right. So here's an example, right? So when I was in high school, right? In high school, I because I grew up dancing, I know how to choreograph. So I always I never let any of my talents fall by the wayside. So like I would choreograph for the cheerleading team, or I didn't play, I wasn't that good at basketball. So during basketball season, I would actually be on the cheerleading team because I dance and I could tumble, and that was cool. And I'm used to being around girls, so it was cool. All right. But then I played football. I was a really good running back, partially because one, I was fast and I knew my body. I was agile because I tap dance and I jazz dance and I did ballet. So I was moving on different rhythms and different bodies, and people couldn't get with me because you guys were, you know what I mean? Y'all didn't do that. So, they would see me walking around school, singing and dancing, hanging out with the girls on the cheerleading team, and would assume something sweet about it. But then football season came around and I was smashing everybody. So they used to be like, we're gonna leave this guy alone. And even like when they used to try and troll before the game, like teams would try and troll like that, and then after the game they get silent because I didn't play that. Okay,
so now you make sense of why how your content is how it is.
Yeah,
you grew up already starting off in kindergarten. You were in one of the major organizations in the city with Black Seeds. Black Seed is very saluted, like
absolutely,
especially in the urban community.
Absolutely.
Shout out and rest in peace, Mr. Perkins. But he
touched
a lot of lives.
He did, man, and
artistically.
Both ways. Like Mr. Perkins was one of those. See, I was because my family was because they knew my family so well. They knew we didn't play.
Right.
They know my dad didn't play, and they knew that if. Like my dad knew, like if Mr. Perkins said something and it was a problem, Mr. Perkins was going to take care of it. And then when I get home, they were going to take care of it. So I've Mr. Perkins broke a few rulers on me in school because he didn't play that. Like he didn't play. And I wasn't even in his class at the time. One time he broke the ruler on me. I was acting a fool in another classroom. Mr. Perkins walked in, did this, pulled me out, took me to the bathroom, broke a ruler on me, and then went back up. But even with that, he had so much love. Yeah, it was like he would give me the shirt off his back.
He just gave tough love, but that love was always like really embraced.
It was that black Southern father that didn't play, and people were lined up to get their kid in their class. Yeah, because you was gonna learn. You didn't have a choice.
Mm-hmm. So I'm glad to see that what has come out to be, what you started as a youth, and it's now transformed into what you are now as one of the biggest content creators. How did you get into becoming a teacher? Like you taught, so you were in the city school district of Rochester, New York.
What happened was when I was in high school, that all stemmed from high school. And I took on a lot of traits from Mr. Perkins. It's just like the way he taught. It was always a part of me, right? Because I don't know, for some reason, I always admired that, right? And I always looked up to like great teachers because I came up through great teachers. So when I was in high school, I was one of those people that was like, I didn't want to wait for nobody to tell us we can do anything, or I wanted to put on a talent show, so we put it together. I wanted to do different things, and I didn't want to like have to ask a teacher or administrators, and they let us, because after the first thing we did, we put together the homecoming shows and all that stuff, and it was like me and my friends doing all these different things. So even down to like the yearbook, like I convinced the Marshall to let us do like a yearbook on DVD. So we had cameras and filmed our whole year and edited together. And then even to the graduation, I was like, I didn't want to. Earlier that year, I talked to my music teacher, and we got a grant to get like a music studio. So I used to be making beats and in the attic on the 4th floor at Marshall till like 2 a.m. making music. And I made my own CD with this group called Third Ave, and I was in high school. So I was always like, in the front of like just like kind of educating or creating with my peers. And I used to often get pulled out of class in high school and asked to help teach music to my friends in the different class, right? So like I'd be out in class teaching my friends how to sing gospel songs, because the music teacher didn't really know how to do it that way. And I was raised in the church, so this was easy for me. So then I got to college, and it was the same thing. I went to Alfred University. I got to college through football. But it was like, what do I was thinking about which major I wanted to pick. I was like, do something you love. And I was like, they didn't have like a music major. So I was like, let's just do theater, which includes all of it. So I'm in there, and then they have a chorus, and I started a gospel chorus at Alfred, because it was an all-white school, predominantly white school. Right. And I was like, look, if I'm going to be here, we're going to put some soul in here. And so we started a gospel choir, and the same thing. The music professor used to pull me and have me come help teach the university chorus. And so teaching always seemed to be a theme, right, in my life throughout, my life. And then once I left, actually before I left high school, my principal, his name was Joseph Muno, he was like, I'm getting ready to start an all-boys school. And so when you finish college, come back, and man, I want you to do that same type of thing you were doing when you were in high school and come teach for me. And I'm like, all right, cool. Fine. So then I go to college, in 4 years, the summer I graduate, I come back, and I just so happened to run into him at the Lilac Festival. He said, hey, my school has started. Won't you come down and be the music teacher? We don't have a music program. I was like, I bet. So I go down, and we didn't have to do an interview, because he already know what I do. He's watched me since, the 9th grade. And so I built the music program at UPrep, and from there, it just took off, because I was doing different type of things with the boys, and not just touching on, the typical music thing, like the all boys. They send us all of the bad kids, right? And I'm close to their age, because I just graduated, so I related to them. But I wanted to give them something different, because I knew they never had like a black male teacher. So I was teaching everything I knew, and kind of added to them. One rule I had in my classroom is that when you walked in, you had to hug somebody. Because I know how powerful that was, especially coming from a band. And at first it was like, man, and that same kind of battle came around. Like, man, what's all this gay stuff? He got us dancing. And, oh, man. But by the second to third day, they were coming in looking for those hugs. So you had to hug somebody when you came in, and you had to hug somebody at the end of every class before you walked out. And one of the biggest thing I got from that was like, I would ask at the end of the year, my students like, yo, what is something that you took from this classroom that you will take with you after? And one, few of them actually said, you know, I hugged my dad for the first time. And wow. I was like, wow, that's what's like, why? He's like, because we do it all the time here. And, you know, he was getting ready to leave and I just gave him a hug. And I was like, so how'd it feel? So it felt great. And I was like, yes, those are the type of things that you know what I mean? I would teach music. Like, we're going to learn piano and dance, but I was looking to get some of that stuff and really have some kind of effect and change on the young men of U Prep. And from there, you know, word got around that I was doing these things. We would do viral videos. Yeah,
I remember seeing those.
Yeah, and then somebody sent the Grammys. Grammys were doing Music Educator Grammy for the first time, and someone submitted me, and the Grammys reached out, and I was nominated for Music Educator Grammy. I didn't win, but
that's huge.
I was nominated, and then
nominated for a Grammy. That's huge.
And then the educator who won it, his name was Kent Knappenberger. He actually reached out to me and had me come out and teach his chorus. Okay. And I started a young male group called Exit Signs, where I had them doing like harmonies, like complicated harmonies, and you know, took them kind of like the same thing that Mr. Perkins did with the Black Seeds. Okay. I took those group of boys and I did it with content. So they were making videos and then performing at different schools in the Blue Cross Arena and all those different type of things. So that's the road that you know, I was on as far as the education. And within that, I understood content creation. I had a mentor by the name of Sean McLeod, and he would always say, look, I would come back and be like, oh, we did this, we did that. And he said, did you get it on camera? And I would be like,
that was a start.
It's like, if you didn't get it on camera, it didn't happen. Right. And that was a lesson that he had to really beat into my head, because I was so excited about doing the dope things and writing, and so that I can come back and say, hey, I did this. But he knew, I don't know how, he knew that content was very important. So he used to always beat into my head. If you didn't capture it, it didn't happen. And from then, I started capturing everything. And that's one of the biggest lessons that I use, that I think has gotten me to the place that I am as a content creator and influencer.
Wow. That's dope. I think they need to add Grammy nominee, because I read from Copilot, which is like a Google, a search engine. And
yeah, so they be lying. They are missing out on a lot.
Yeah, that's huge. The Grammy nomination is quite huge and applauding. Now, with going into more of your like personal life, you once were married, right? Okay, so as we sit today, are you married?
Nah, man, I'm outside, man.
So how long have it been since you've been married?
Man, it's I've been maybe 5 years. 4 or 5 years. Okay.
Growing up in a household, like you said, with so much melanin, a lot of sisters, black women, beautiful chocolate black women. How you tended to, are you attracted to those type of women?
Yeah, are you about to sit here and ask a black man, do I like black women? What kind of questions? I am. I love black women.
Now, why do you think I would ask that?
Well, I know why you asked that, because my wife was Caucasian. Okay. So you trying to kind of beat around there. Go ahead and ask the question, bro. Yeah. No, so
I just first got to know. I want the audience to know.
It's all good. Yeah. So like that situation, you know, I went to Alfred. Like I said, that was a predominantly white school. Okay. Right. And actually, all of my girlfriends were black. Like my last girlfriend before. Okay. My wife she was like your complexion, super dope and just beautiful. Okay. But you know, I was young and dumb with that. I mean, I chased her down like that. Like
chased who down?
My ex
wife.
No, my ex girlfriend. Okay. I chased her down. Okay. Like took like a couple semesters for even, you know what I mean? And we were like that camp couple on class. We were like in college, like everybody knew us because we were super dope. And then she transferred schools, and I was young and dumb. And you know how that go. And that broke off, and then it was like, all right, it was the end of my senior year, and I'm just like, oh, whatever. I'm blah, blah, blah. And then I met her, and we were just like kind of, kicking it, traveling, she doing white people shit. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. And, and it was cool, and it kind of bonded. And, we get my first son. And when that happened, it was like, okay, what do we do now? And as a man growing up in a household like that, it's like, I got to get this. Then that's got to be the next step. Okay. Right. Regardless of how I feel about this, it's like we have a kid in the way, so I got to man up, right, and do what I'm supposed to do. So that's where that notion came from, and I kind of just was like, I feel like this is what needs to be done, or you know what I mean. And
so listening to you, of course, there was love, but to hear you say, I felt like this is need to be done. Do you feel like the marriage was based on more of that than love?
I think so. Okay. And and
that's not a bad thing. It's just keeping it on.
Just what it was. It was like this. That's what I feel like I need to do. A little bit of pressure from mom, and they don't play that. Right. They don't play that. So it was like, was I ready? I don't think so. Okay. I don't think I was ready. I was still young, but it was like, I guess this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Right. I want to do the right thing. I don't know how to be no absent father, so I damn sure can't do that.
And that, watching you, Chaz, that to me, your content and everything is great, of course. But one thing that I see watching you, your fatherhood is spectacular. Oh, thank you. So I know that means much more to you than the content and things like that. Which brings me to say, it appears you I know you're probably not a single father, but you always have the children. That's all I see.
There's a nice balance.
Okay, there's a balance.
There's a nice balance. Okay. There's a nice balance. I feel like I can do even more, honestly. But it's a nice balance, man. Okay. I'm super active. Like I want to do it. Like, one thing I do is I travel a little bit more, right? So what I'll do is I'll go St. Thomas. I'll go to St. Thomas by myself, get the lay of the land, and I'm gonna go back and get my boys, and y'all come there with me. Okay, yeah. What I mean? That type of thing is what I do. So if I'm on a boat somewhere on the lake, I'll go out by myself with friends, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I need to go, and I'll go get my boys, and that type of thing. Just making core memories, I think, is very important.
Crucial. I'm glad you said what you said, though, about, are you trying to see if I like? Because I had to ask this for other women in the audience so that they can hear you say you like.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, sisters. all that. Yeah, all that. Chocolate, vanilla, butter pecan, chocolate deluxe, even caramel sundaes getting touched. You know what I mean?
Because now the young lady you're with which is I got to get into because it's interesting, because I thought your relationship was a joke at first. Because you made it somewhat like, you introduced your new relationship like prankish, if you will. And then it seemed like it was serious. Did it start off as a prank?
Yeah, well, it started off as content, right? Anybody who's going to be around me, they're coming into this world. It's going to, you know what I mean? This is what I do. This is my world. Where it goes from there, it depends on like what the vibe is. And, that's what it was. It was like, okay, let's do this. Like, hey, hold on, let's try this. Wait, that was a little too much. Let's pull back, and then let's see where we go with it. And, I'm relationship wise, it's like, if it works, if the chemistry is there, if you, we can do some things. But then I'm always watching, right? Because there's a lot with me, right? There's a lot with me. So it's gonna take a lot from whoever's gonna be around me to understand what's going on. And at first it might seem cool to be next to me or around in this world until you get in here and realize, holy crap. This ain't no joke.
We booked and busy.
This ain't no joke. Yeah. And so that type of thing is like, and even like now, it's like it's rocky with that relationship right now. So I feel like I would need to, or don't really need to explain. However, it's just that the content is going to continue, or you're going to see what's up. And if you have a question, then cool. the questions for me is great. Ask all the way because I get paid for engagement. So,
So do her ethnicity with that one, what is it?
She was African African and Puerto Rican. African and Colombia.
Okay. So I'm so glad again you cleared that up. So we know Chaz Bruce likes sisters. There's nothing wrong with loving who you love though. So don't get that twisted. Because great things like Miles and your other son has come out of that. So that's not being against it. I just wanted to clear from the audience that thinks like, no, he don't like him. It's like, no, they heard from you.
Yeah, that's real. That's real. Why, you heard somebody say like that? Word? Yeah. I've heard that too. I've only had one white girl, dog. Like that's
But
crazy.
I guess it's because that's the one you choose to take before God. That's the difference. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So but that's crazy because like that's the only like all of my girlfriends have been,
Okay.
Like all of them been sisters.
One thing you said that I wanted to go back to, you said if people are around me, they should expect content, basically. One time you and a loved one had kind of somewhat clashed publicly about that.
Clash?
Yeah, like
my sister.
So that person didn't want to be part of the content and explain that. Well, it wasn't before.
It wasn't so much that she didn't want to be a part of the content, right? Like all of my sisters know what's up, right? And one of the things that I try and do with everybody is, especially my family, is like show them like, look, I shouldn't be the only one, making this type of money from this content. My whole family is dope, and I include them a lot.
They are.
We go viral every time my family is around. So my next step level with them is like try to pull them in to understand it more, even if the content don't look like mine. It don't have to look like mine. I want to create a show around you, or start to explore that. So it's like, they understood it in a way, and they were down. It's just like my relationship with my sisters is always going to be the relationship with my sisters. Right. Like, who I am, how we are. I'm a jokester, especially with certain ones. Like certain sisters will joke a little bit more and go a little bit harder just because that's just what we grew up doing. So with that, I'm like, hey, let's do a little bit more on the podcast side. Let's sit around and let's talk a little bit more. So, get into that, but there's still a mix of like sister fun, right?
Right.
And with certain sisters, like they have different kind of perceptions of who they are outside of the world, right? And so they want to be that line is something that needs to be respected at times, right? And that's understood, right? So like for me, it's like I get that. So if we're gonna do a podcast, like cool, whatever, just like how you saying, whatever we don't like, we're gonna cut out,
right? But
I can't not be me or authentic in front of my camera, at least in real time. So I'm going to do the same. You're gonna get the same kind of me. And if there's anything that you don't like, we'll just cut it out. So so what happened is like, I'm being me, especially with my sister that, how we joke. And my jokes are wild. Like it's always been wild. And,
without us revisiting, because I knew how it made her feel. You and I know the subject. I just wanted to more say, is there a time that separate content from out of respect? Is there a time that you think you should do that?
Yes.
Okay, so you do.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah,
that's good.
Absolutely, because certain moments is just moments,
right?
Everything is,
especially with family.
Yeah, certain moments. But with my family, though, it's like a lot of the times we should be. Y'all need to see this, and they know that.
Okay,
right. So that's all that is, and because my platform is so large, right? So my reaction to it, right, will make people, feel different ways because, whatever I'm saying, however I'm feeling, that's a loud voice. And sometimes I forget that because for me, it's just like, I'm just being me.
Okay.
Right. And so that's where sometimes I'm flawed in that situation.
It's not intentional.
It's never intentional. It's just like that. Sometimes I forget my world and how big it is. And then people from the outside look at it like this. And I'm just like, what?
Okay. Right.
And so that's where sometimes you see it happens all the time, especially here locally, right? I'll make a stat or say something that might tap a little somebody, and because it's me, it's the end of the world.
Same here.
And I'm like,
I understand.
First of all,
I understand that.
really don't care. Like, if you knew me, you know
I need the engagement.
And that's the second part. The second part, I'm going to make money off of this anyways. Like, so y'all think y'all about to do something like going back and forth and reposting me, and then like, even with there was the Sexy Red controversy about a concert. Yeah. And it was like, dude, I just made the stat because that's what came to my head. Like, I saw Sexy Red, and then I was like, this looks like a armory show, and then that wasn't to say that I hope that the concert don't do well or you're not gonna sell, but because my name is so big, it was like, well, and I'm like, I don't even really care.
Yeah, because I saw that back and forth too. So basically, you saying pertaining to that, to the promoters, is with my following, why wasn't I considered to open?
Well,
but jokingly, but of course, there's always a little truth.
Exactly. Well, it was more so, it's like they took that and was like upset about it as if I didn't want them to succeed. It's like, I don't ever want anybody not to succeed. I don't care. I just gave my opinion on it, which a lot of people kind of agreed with it. It was like, yeah, but it was like, whether you did or not, it don't matter. Right. And I don't even know the promoters. Mm-hmm. So when they start going back and forth, I'm like, dude, what would be smart? If we collab with this, if I was making,
you was thinking business.
I'm thinking business, bro. Like, you should, and the other promoter did too. You just didn't know how to express that to me, because you have to keep this like, type of thing. And I'm like, bro, none of this matters to me, bro. I am on a whole nother level, dude. Like, I not to say that I'm bigger than anybody. It's like, no, y'all talking about tickets. I'm content and monetization, bro. I don't care nothing about whether your concert do what or not, it don't matter. But if you want to egg me on, you're not gonna out content me, and I'm a comedian too, and you're not gonna be more funnier than me. So if you want to play, I'm gonna play, but I just play way faster and way more. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So and people not ready for that. Yeah. They think they are. Okay. They think because they're a little bit funnier. They get a couple of jokes online. Like, right, you might post once a day and get some funny, but I do this 34 times a day. Okay. All right, like I don't intentionally want to just go mess with people, but like, if you come to play, I'm going to play, and I played way too much. So just leave me alone. I don't want no smoke with nobody. I'm also not worried about certain clout in Rochester. It's like, there's 6.3 million followers. Ain't that many people in Rochester. So my focus isn't here. Okay. But I'm proud of my city, and I want them to do well, and I want to be able to bring something dope or have some kind of effect that's great to the city.
So lastly, as we wrap it up here, when it comes to content, because there's someone watching that want to get into that, a younger person, older person, because you live really well off of that, and you're not shy about sharing how much you make in content. So what's a good month for Chaz Bruce once Meta and everyone else pays you a check? What's a good everyone month? Or just Meta? I only really share my Meta. Okay, Meta. What's Meta? Because I have 1.7 million followers, but I share that because once a teacher, always a teacher. Mm-hmm. Right? I'm always, even when I first got on TikTok, like everybody will tell you, I was on TikTok the day it changed over from Musical.ly to TikTok. That's when I got on. And I only got on because my students told me about it, and I downloaded that day, and I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. This is gonna be nuts. Nobody knew about it yet. And I was just like, everybody, y'all get on that TikTok, y'all. Get on that TikTok. So much so that everybody thought it was annoying. Mm-hmm. But everybody looked at me like, what you doing with this little kids? That, man, get on out of here. And I'm like, nah, son, but for real, y'all need to. And then next thing you know, I got 3 million followers. TikTok that made me an ambassador within the first couple of months. And now I'm like, I get to TikTok and I see where they're going with it. And I come back to my Facebook and Rochester people like, even my good friend I was doing content with at the time, like, my guy, get on TikTok, do that TikTok. Anybody I had a conversation with, you're doing that. TikTok is where you want to go. I don't care what kind of thing. If you're doing cameras, if you're doing dancing, it don't matter. If you're cooking, you need to be on TikTok. It's coming. And next thing you know, Trump said, we're going something about TikTok. Right.
And then everybody rushed to TikTok, and I already had 4 million followers. And now those conversations started changing from me trying to tell people to people asking me, well, how and what? And now.
So what's a check there at TikTok? A good one a month?
Come on, man.
Because you didn't answer the question. Yeah, I'm waiting on the meta.
Let me get to my. He's like, hurry up! How much you make? No, but okay. So Meta, a good month with Meta would be like anywhere between like 34,000.
Really?
In a month. Yeah, and that's if I'm just cranking out content, and usually that's what I'm doing. I'm cranking out content, but that comes from consistent content and backlogging content. I have files to every video. That's one thing I did as soon as I started TikTok. I kept all the originals, so I repost viral videos that I know are viral because they already went viral a couple times. Right? And I just know how to work it. And so what I do now is I have this no excuse content club, right? Where you guys, I'm giving you the sauce. I'm giving you everything, teaching everybody how to create different styles of content right from your phone so that you can start creating consistent content. Once you're consistent with your content, that's when the monetization start to come. Right. That's when you start making money from your content. But people often will do one video or one post here and think that they're about to start making money. It's like, nah, that's not how it works. It's not how it works at all. But the No Excuse Content Club is my next thing. Well, that is the thing right now where people, it's a small subscription now. That right now is $5 a month. Right. And I'm going on there live and I'm dropping information and tutorials on how to do it. And then we even do things where we have the hot seat where people, they have this, they get there. It's like, okay, what are you working on? Well, I have this idea and and I give you feedback, or me and other creators give you feedback on like, yo, you can do this or try this, that type of thing. So building a community of content creators and building them to where they can be monetized because billions of dollars are being made off of content, and it's going to like triple within the next couple of years. So that's the main thing that I push. Learn how to make this content.
What I do see, and I like when you say I push, what I do see about you, you do help others who reach out, and even if it's you charging $100, that's not a lot. You see what I'm saying? I've seen you say, hey, I'm just giving you all this. And I'm glad, I want to break this down to the people, because when he does make posts like this and say he's asking for $100 to teach a class, you just heard what the man makes. So your $100, I'm not trying to belittle or make it small, but you hear his value. So 100 isn't a lot for him to get rich off when Meta's going to hit him with a check. And he only told us what Meta gave him. So I do see you help people a lot. And then saying that quickly, when you did fall out though, as you mentioned, somebody you used to work with without saying names. How did that happen, seeing you so helpful?
Okay, so when it comes down to just working with people, let's say men, right? Yeah, working with men in particular. Testosterone. You feel me? Everybody wants to figure out how to what, and if you're not a stand-up guy, you'll try different things to find a way to put you in front. You know what I'm saying? And in weird ways, and even if it's a long-term relationship. Right, especially when someone started off kind of on the same level, and then you see this happen. This starts to get envious, and then try to work. And then the true character start to come out of these people. And I'm highly favored. Like I'm highly favored. I have my mom pushing me every day. Like that's my sisters are. You feel me? So like the discernment I have is crazy. So you're not about to be close to me and try and manipulate anything and not me see it. It happens every time, and I God let me know like, hey, that's got to go, and it's confirmed because when I do it, something bigger happens. So with that situation, as soon as I figured out what was going on and cut that off, that's when BT came and said, hey, we want to do the whole thing with you. We want to partner with you, and that was another confirmation. It was like, and it was so many signs that I was like, cut that off. But I have a very forgiving heart, right? That's one thing I will. But once I say it's done, it is it. Especially when I get the confirmation of, hey, now that you did that, here, I was trying to prepare you for this. And that's what took it to a whole nother level, because if you're doing that on this level right here, it only going to get worse when it's time to elevate. And I will forever elevate. And if you can't elevate with me, even though I will turn around and pull you up, but people will cut my hand when I'm trying to reach down and pull you up. But you know how that is. So that's what that situation is.
All right. Lastly, we got to conclude with this. These teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about these teeth.
Yeah, you see them.
So part of content creating and trending and going viral, people reach out to you to whether it's somewhat like a commercial. So you had one set of teeth first. Now you have these teeth. How did that come about?
Well, I was born with teeth first. That was the first set. And then once I started getting the content, I was like, okay, I want to work on my smile.
Okay.
I want to work on my smile. So I was like, how can I do that? And I wasn't really making money yet. And so I had these clip-on joints, right? They was all right, but it gave me a better, you know what I mean? I was like, okay, hold on. Let me, you know what I'm saying? And I worked that. And I saw what that did within the content and what people thought about it, but I know I could do better.
Okay.
And so what I started to do is that was the time when I was working with a bunch of different brands.
Okay. And
I was like, oh, they see value in me. Like I know how to talk to them and what I know my value. So within that, I reached out to a dentist that I saw on TikTok.
You reached out to them?
I reached out. And at first he was like, I know that. I was like, what's up? Can we, He was like, nah, this is how much it is. It's like 20, 30,000. I was like, yeah, see what had happened was. So then it was like, it's all good, whatever, but he started following me.
Okay.
And then, viral video. And then all of a sudden he reached back out. Hey, how can we do a collaboration? I said, say less. Here's what we can do. I said, what's the value on that? She was like, this is like 25,000. I said, okay. So my package for 25,000 is this. This is what it costs for this type of promotion. And I'm the type, I will give more because I smile a lot. So you will forever have a marketing person. And I'm not afraid to shine light on you. So this little $30,000 deal that you're going to give up, it's going to come back double time. And it has been ever since. And so, I went to Austin and he was good too.
Texas.
Austin, Texas. Took it. I had to make like 4 appointments.
Okay.
I had to go back to like 4 times because he was one of those, he was like, okay, one of those people it wasn't no go to DR and get your joints done. And I've seen those. It's like, wait a minute. Now
they did a good job.
He knocked you. You feel me? He was on them. And that's why I always shout him out. Dr. Patel, Austin, Texas, man. Yeah.
Right. So as we conclude, where can we follow? People that don't know where to follow you, what are your social media handles?
Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Chaz Bruce 0 on all platforms. And No Excuse Content Club. That's a school app. Okay. You might want to check that out if you want to understand and get into this content creation and monetization world. You got to learn how to create consistent. Everybody should be creating consistent content, and everybody should be building some kind of personal brand. Period.
You hear that? That's from Chaz Bruce, a brother with 6.3 million followers. So take it from him.
And mad black bitches now.
It was a pleasure sitting with you, Mr. Bruce.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for coming in, sitting with us, and showing us another side.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime, man. I'll come back through and we can chop it up, man.
When I talk, they listen. This is what they've been missing. This podcast is what they've been missing. When I talk, they listen. This is what they've been missing. This podcast is what they've been missing. When I talk, they listen. This is what they've been missing. This podcast, this is what they've been missing. When I talk, they listen. This is what they've been missing. This podcast is what they've been missing. Word.